You got it.
All right. Well, welcome to the monthly Region 11 meeting. Today we are joined by Karen from PATH headquarters, and she is going to answer any questions or any give us info on renewal and all that good stuff. So thanks for joining us, Karen.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
All right. So everyone should have received an email or a call from the regional leadership team with regard to renewal. If you haven't, reach out to us and let us know. But I know I made lots of calls to people to try to make sure you guys are up to date with your renewal with PATH. So Karen, is there anything you want to just generally share about what's going on in PATH right now?
Well, hopefully we are pretty excited to launch the new center member benefit, the access to Grant Station. Hopefully everybody has gotten that information. If not, you can reach out to us. The information went to whoever was linked to the center as the primary contact. And that would have gone to the email that they used to log into the PATH International portal. That is the email that went to Grant Station. That is the email that they're going to have on file as the user ID. And so if there's been some change in primary contact and we need to get new people added, just reach out to me and I can pass that along to Katie, who can let Grant Station know who the active users are. We'll keep refreshing that list with Grant Station as time goes on. We'll probably wait for this renewal season to end to upload the latest so they can capture who is a current member center and who is currently listed as the primary contact. It's a great resource for grant writing, and it doesn't offer just a library of access to grants, but it also gives tips and tricks on, writing grants and, other tools besides just having the information that's out there. PATH International will be, actually Grant Station will be putting on a webinar. That's coming up. There was an email that went out on that. I believe that is on February 2nd. I don't remember the exact time, but that went out to center members as well to kind of just give you, they'll give us a tour of their website and show us all the features and functions and how to use it to its fullest potential. And so I think that having access to this information could be important to our centers, especially this year where funding might be down. So it might be a good use, maybe even if you've never written a grant before and never even tried to apply for a grant, Grant Station might be a good tool to help you get access to funding that maybe you didn't even know existed. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we're also going to be launching more for the individual members, but I'm sure there will be some benefit for centers as well. A new platform for community connections. I know that we used to, probably some of you remember when we had community connections before. It's a member-based social media platform with focused groups based on common interests. So there'll be like an instructors group for them to share resources and information. We've got a new platform powered by Higher Logic that'll be integrated into our database and should be a lot more user-friendly and dynamic. I know everybody's using the Facebook pages now, but I'm hoping that we can bring more members into, member-to-member networking opportunities through this platform. And there will be more information to come. I think there was a teaser about it in tonight's e-news that just dropped, but we'll definitely keep membership appraised as we go through that. And then keep an eye out for the 2021 standards manual that will be coming down the pipeline in the next month or so.
Cool. I have a really quick question about that particular subject because we're about to have to go through that. If we are, because of the virus, we didn't get to do our visit last year.
Mm-hmm.
If we have it this year, will we go by the 2021 standards?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to check so that we make sure we're
Yeah,
right
we'll
page.
definitely, I mean, we will have a summary of changes to kind of help you go through and see exactly what changed. I can tell you that the biggest changes coming down the pipeline will be for centers that offer therapy services. That would be hippotherapy and psychotherapy. No new standards, but we are reorganizing the standards manual a bit to split those two categories out into separate sections in the manual. Because some of those standards were blended and could apply to both, or just one or the other. So now there will be a clearly definitive equine facilitated psychotherapy section and a therapy, PTOT, the hippotherapy aspect of things. So it should just clarify things. But the intent of the standards themselves will not be changing. So there won't be any really surprises for you if you were prepared to credit on the 2018 manual.
Excellent.
Some of the standards numbers will change, but the actual standards themselves, even though they might be located on a different page in the manual or in a different section in the manual, they're still there.
Excellent.
And I think
That's
there
good
might be
news.
a couple new field test standards that'll be in the manual. And then the one field test standard that's in the 2018 manual did go to membership and vote and did pass. So that will land in the equine welfare and management section with a new standard number.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Karen?
Now you guys are making it too easy on me.
I know. So right off the top of my head, Karen, I did have a question that my boss asked me the other day was about the international conference. Is that still planning on being hopefully a live event?
We are still, I actually just saw that in the e-news too.
Oh, okay.
We are still moving forward with the planning on that. So
Okay.
as of right now, we are still planning on an in-person event. What that might look like, I mean, obviously we still have to keep an eye out with what's going on in the world with the pandemic, and then at that particular location in North Carolina as well. So, but as of right now, we are still planning on moving forward with an in-person event at the International Conference in October.
Fabulous.
And we're excited about it. I know that everybody's excited to get back into in-person events and seeing each other again.
Yeah. And Courtney, I had a question for you because I searched today and came up just a blank. When is our Region 11 meeting?
So our regional meeting is going to be April, I believe it's 9th.
Okay.
No, wait, I lied. I think it's 10th because we decided that I believe that we're going to go with a one-day conference. So we think that we can kind of get everything all in on one day, which would be the 10th of April.
Okay. I drew a blank and then I was looking through some notes and I was like, I'm sure I'll see Courtney and I'll double check it. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to get that posted up on our Facebook page. And as we finalize the schedule, it's going to end up going out in an e-blast as well. So we'll make sure everybody knows. And Karen, I was just, as you were talking about field test standards, I was just thinking that that's one of those things that we need to incorporate. And I needed to get myself a little bit more familiar with what our current field test standards are. Can you speak to that at all?
Actually, I cannot. I know that it came out of that split between hippotherapy and psychotherapy. And I think there was at least one standard that as it was written was only applicable to hippotherapy. But it really made sense to make it applicable to a psychotherapy type session as well. And I don't remember the exact standard, but we couldn't just throw a new standard in there. So since we split it out, we have to keep it as written and keep it in the applicable section for hippotherapy, and then introduce it as a field test standard. I think it had to do with having a properly trained person as far as the horse handler in a session is concerned. And so, and I think it might have applied to hippotherapy, having a horse handler trained specific for the hippotherapy session. But why would we not want to have a trained person for appropriate horse handling in a psychotherapy session? But we could just bring it on as like, oh, you know, it should just be a new standard. We have to go through the field test process. So it'll be something along those lines. But when that new standards manual drops, it will be in everybody's member portal. So anybody who is an individual member will be able to log in and go to the My Download section, and it will be there for you pretty much immediately, ahead of us even having the physical hard copies ready to ship out. So definitely, if you're planning conferences, state meetings, or center accreditation, it's definitely in your best interest to look at those changes right away as soon as we, and we'll definitely announce it either in e-news, or it might even have its own e-blast, but we'll definitely make sure membership knows as soon as it's ready. And I'm sure Marcia and the other PATH support helping you guys plan your events. If you want to have time set aside to talk about field test standards, we will make sure you have the information that you need, for sure. And it'll definitely be out before April, so you should have plenty of time before your Region 11 event to make that happen.
All right. Karen, I was wondering about the, just going to the individual memberships. How is the CTRI coming along? Is most people moving over to that?
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers. I do know the extended deadline probably helped. We do have, I mean, our original deadline when we first launched this was December 31st, 2020. But then 2020 happened. So, and that pushed off, I mean, we extended that deadline to June 30th, 2021. And the purpose for that was not so much necessarily for the registered instructors, giving them extra time to complete the process, but more for the people who were in the process of becoming registered instructors in the first place. Because the original intent was to have those people get newly certified and then immediately transition before December 31st. But we had so many certification events that got canceled. And so many people who couldn't get to those events to become certified, there was just no way that they could get certified and transition before December 31st. So we did put that 6-month deadline out there. So that is still the deadline. Events are happening again. We've made some allowances for people to finish their registered instructor certification by video in some instances. I don't know quite all the details of that. Our certification department, I think, is working with individuals kind of on a case-by-case basis. But I think we're allowing some video submissions for people who could not get to an event. We really want to make sure that we can get everybody to be a CTRI by June 30th, 2021. So if you are a registered level instructor and you haven't done the process yet, it's not that complicated. It is a process, but it's not something to be fearful of. And so it's just get it done, and then your certification is good for 2 years instead of just 1. So there's some benefit in that as well.
Sorry, someone just sent me a message about the meeting, so I was checking on the email.
Are there more people here than just the 3 of you I see, or?
No, I'm not seeing. I am not seeing. I guess Tuesday night was not such a great night to have the meeting. We usually have them on Thursday meetings, but we had to switch it to Tuesday this time. Maybe Thursday.
I know that there are some centers that are back to teaching lessons, and I always have quite a few people who ask, are you going to be recording this? Can we watch it later? So I think we do still get a fair amount of outreach, even though maybe some people aren't available at this exact time. So yeah, so all of this is really good information.
Sure is.
So what other kinds of questions have you been getting as you've been making your outreach calls? Are they pretty straightforward, or are people coming up with some doozies that you've been struggling with?
Ooh, I don't think so.
So I'm not personally in a position that I make those calls as the communications chair. I kind of just field all kinds of random stuff as it comes through social media. But I thought, Karen, maybe you could just kind of give us a good overview of what some of the benefits are of being a member center or and membership through PATH International. I have a instructor in training who is kind of coming through and is in. We're navigating the CTRI versus the OSWC and some of the benefits and that. So I just wonder if you might speak to having more of the personal individual membership benefits.
Right. Well, I mean, you had mentioned the certification, like the benefits of registered versus CTRI. Now, I mean, obviously the benefit of the credential is that professional credential. And with the CTRI, once we get that certification program accredited, and it's an accredited certification through NCCA, we at PATH International believe that that'll kind of raise the bar of professionalism and recognition of that credential. It's not just some fly-by-night certification that just anybody can get. Like it's going to carry some clout behind it. But the benefit of that credential is separate from the membership benefits, because now we don't even require you to be a member to hold that credential. That's one of the standards that we have to meet actually to get accredited. Is membership is a voluntary thing, and it should not be required to keep a credential that you earned through a testing process. So that's one of the reasons why we launched those 3 different membership tiers to give different levels of benefits to members based on their needs and desires and what they want to get out of PATH International membership. I think one of our biggest member benefits is really the education that we offer. I think we've really ramped up the educational offerings through webinars, virtual conferences, our in-person conference content, some new projects that we have going on and curriculum development and that sort of thing. I think that really is going to be where our members will see the most benefit. And then of course we have member and non-member pricing on everything. So including certification renewals now. So your membership level will determine what you pay when you go to renew your CTRI. It's only a $20 difference right now. Members pay $75 to renew their certification. Non-members pay $95 to renew their certification. But if you look at just things like our webinar series, our conference registrations, and even just our a la carte educational offerings, the membership discount is pretty significant in some instances. And for those going through the CTRI process, there's a member discount on both the application level and at the final exam testing fee level. In fact, just the price of the application itself, that $100 difference in the application for professional members covers the cost of the $100 professional level membership. So anybody planning on becoming a CTRI, they can be a non-member and pay $250 for their application, or they can purchase the $100 membership and pay $150 for the application. It's still a $250 investment if you look at just that one item, but then you get the rest of the benefits on top of it. So you might as well pay the member price. And then that money would come back to you even more when you pay the member price versus the non-member price on the final exam.
That's an excellent tidbit that I bet not a lot of people know yet. So that's really great to be able to kind of double you're like you say, you're making the same investment, but to be able to have the membership benefit of that continuing education which after 2020, I'm sure our library is growing with lots of virtual content. So,
Yeah, yeah. And
so
we've got more coming too. So, you know, I think education is one of the things that we've been focusing on. Not that we require Path International education. There are other ways to get CEUs. But of course, we're going to stay relevant in the industry. We're going to keep up on the newest trends in the industry. And we're going to vet the content to make sure that it's quality and within our standards and mission and vision as well. And then with the new networking platform, that'll be when we relaunch. I don't think it's going to be called Community Connections. I don't know exactly what we're calling it, but when we get this higher logic benefit for member to member networking, I think there might be some more benefits as well, as far as a pipeline for information from member to member and from Path International to members. It'll be a place where we can like build a resource library and those kinds of things to share share things that might not come up necessarily at a conference, like a sample form or a sample contract or those kinds of things to kind of help drive the industry forward.
I see that a lot in some of the Path International groups through social media. There's often a lot of executive directors or program directors who are looking for that kind of format. You know, I need to, maybe I'm new to the position, or I need to revamp these ideas. And it's really nice, the collaboration. I think that that we have as an industry, that people are willing to share some of that intellectual property with each other. And I think having that kind of collected in one place through Path is really fantastic.
And then that helps us, it gives us the opportunity to make sure that it is, you know, within the standards and, you know,
Sure.
a high quality product that's relevant to what we do and to what you do in the field.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think that's one of the things that I've enjoyed most about this forced time we're all on Zoom and connecting with each other, is that, you know, Path may not be able to release a sample form on a very specific thing because laws and rules are very different from state to state and internationally as well for international members. But it is great to share ideas and to have something that we could take back to our staff or our board or our lawyers and say, hey, can we do something like this? This would really fill a hole. You know, we are all figuring out new ways to do things these days. So the community connections have been really great. And I love, I remember being on Community Connections back when it was on, and I did go looking for it when the pandemic first started. I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's working anymore. So
yeah, unfortunately, when we launched our new
news.
database in April of 2019, well, I mean, the platform that Community Connections was built on stopped being supported, like, I think even a year and a half before we launched our new database. So we were just kind of on our own. And if any technical issues came up or whatever, like the support wasn't there from the manufacturer of the original product. And then when we launched our new database, it was integrated into our old database system, but not compatible with our new one at all. So we sort of had to abandon it, even though it sort of broke our hearts a little bit. But we knew that we would have a goal, like use Facebook in the meantime, but we had a goal of, we will find a more user-friendly, more dynamic, more intuitive type of program that'll integrate with our new database. And we did find that. So they're working on the final back end, you know, tightening of the nuts and bolts or whatever. But I know that there will be a big announcement when that launches, and I hope everybody joins it right away and starts using it right away. And maybe as the region leadership team, I'm sure Katie will have some goals for you guys for, you know, how to monitor your own pages, how to recruit people to those pages, how to make the most of it so that our members get the best experience from it. And hopefully maybe stop utilizing the Facebook pages as much. Not that I mean, there is a place for Facebook. But of course, social media has a lot of criticism right now in the news. So people might be shying away from that kind of platform anyway. And then anybody can be on Facebook. So yes, we have our members there, but it's a public platform. So we're not necessarily able to monitor the content maybe as closely. And maybe not able to make it as much of a member benefit to make sure that this is for our members, by our members, no weird outside social media influence from other places.
Yeah, I like the idea of having something that's not Facebook, because I have heard a lot of pushback of people just getting rid of Facebook. And so, yeah, that sounds like
Our timing of this might actually be good in spite of the, tense political climate that is revolving around social media right at the moment. We might be able to actually take advantage of that negativity toward these big data companies, like Facebook and Twitter and these others, and keep it more localized to just us and our members to protect the information better and to keep it more relevant and to keep it high quality.
Yeah, I like the idea of having kind of a whole new platform to have that information. And certainly having both at the same time at some point, or, whatever, I think is also really good. It gives us that place to send the members to, and one of the things I think I enjoy about having that Facebook page for us is being able to have the outreach to other professionals in the horse community that otherwise we wouldn't really be able to connect with. So, that's definitely one of the benefits that we have for having that Facebook page.
Yeah, I don't necessarily expect the Facebook pages to go away, but I do hope that a lot of the questions asked, a lot of the resources shared, will at least in duplicate be shared on Community Connections, or use Facebook to drive traffic to, it's like, oh, that information isn't here on this page, but I know of this group in the PATH International community that probably has this exact thing you're looking for or something. So that might be kind of nice to help encourage that, and maybe get new members because of it. I don't really know, what membership recruitment looks like, or what somebody who's never heard of PATH International might want to get out of it. But that's definitely something that we view as a benefit, and definitely want to promote it as such.
That's great. Thank you. Anyway, do you guys have anything else to comment on? Ask Karen. No?
I'm just wondering, Karen, if you, I guess you might want to know a little background about maybe why some center is not yet a PATH member. But what would you say to someone who's considering PATH Center membership and or PATH Center accreditation? Maybe some of the obstacles that people who are not familiar with it, once they have the added information, they're like, okay, that sounds like a great idea to me.
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what they want, what their expectations are. I mean, there's a lot of intangible benefit to being a PATH International Center. I mean, I hear of things like all the time, like in a certain state, a certain referral agency will only send their patients to PATH International Centers. Like the state of Florida Department of Education has scholarship funds available for homeschool students. And equine assisted activities are approved activity for, like, to meet I think a physical ed credit or something for school, but they only will pay those funds out at a PATH International Center. So, and that's just something that I just heard from membership. Like, we didn't go out to the state of Florida Department of Education and say, hey, you need to give these funds to PATH International Centers. But that was just the way that their Department of Education was supporting special needs students who aren't in a traditional learning environment, and who get education in other ways. And they approved it, but only through Path International. So it's that quality assurance recognition, and an internationally recognized brand behind your center's name, to kind of help promote the safety and best practices. And we know a lot of the general public who's Path International, that doesn't mean any difference to me. And it's hard for us from the national office to reach those people. We don't have like a national TV advertisement talking about what Path International is and why you should choose to go to a Path International center. But that's what we depend on our members for. You guys out there, you're the ones who are like, why should I come here instead of the center down the street that charges half as much? Like, I'm going to pay twice as much to come here. Why should I? Like, well, we have these standards. We have credentialed professionals. We have training where, we have quality assurance, and that, we're safe. And you might not get that from the little center down the street that's charging half as much. Do you know what kind of credentials? Do you know if they even carry insurance? Those kinds of things. So, we are a voluntary organization. People come to us because they want to, not because they have to. And that's from a certification standpoint, from an individual membership standpoint, and from a center member standpoint. There are no laws that govern this industry to the point of requiring a specific membership or a specific credential. Literally anyone can go put a kid on a horse and say they're offering therapeutic riding. And unless somebody gets hurt or worse, there's no real repercussion for that. It's not monitored like the therapy industry is. There aren't medical credentials or a governing board that can come and shut you down like the health department can or something. But the international recognition is really, and the standards. People come to us because they want that standards. They want those guidelines to follow, to be consistent in the industry, and to be recognized in the industry. So that's kind of an intangible benefit that can be really hard to sell, because you can't put a dollar value on that necessarily. But I do say, you might have a competitive edge when it comes to a grant. If you're competing against a non-Path International center for the same funding for your program, that grantor who has that money might say, well, what is this Path International? Maybe they've already heard of us. Maybe you already have that benefit. Or maybe they'll go to our website and see what we're about and say, oh, wow, these people have training and credentials and accreditation behind their name. I think I'll give the money to them. So there could just be, competitive edge when it comes to donations, sponsorships, grants, and all sorts of other things as far as funding is concerned. The WWP is a pretty good example of that. Our partnership with WWP. Obviously, the Wounded Warrior Project provides funding to support veterans in all sorts of different capacities. Equine assisted activities and therapies, equine assisted services is just one activity that they can refer their veterans to. But they have a vetting process themselves. So even if it's a group that takes people out on kayak rides, for example, maybe there's not a certification for that. Maybe there is, I don't know. But if there isn't, Wounded Warrior Project would have to go to the company offering these kayak rides and make sure that they're safe. They don't want to send somebody out and put them in a potentially dangerous situation. Well, when they found out that Path International had an accreditation program, they're like, wow, you just made our job easy for us. We don't have to vet these programs. You've already done it for us. So we're going to give these funds to premier accredited centers. And that was their choice to do that. Like, they could have done it for all Path International centers, but they're like, you saved us the legwork of vetting this and ensuring the safety and quality that these veterans will get going out to these programs. Not to say that they wouldn't get just as high a quality at a non-accredited Path International center, but it's just that proof, that the fact that that vetting has been done for them already. They don't have to worry. They're sending their veteran to go ride horses at a premier accredited center, and they don't have to worry about the quality of service that they're going to be getting. And I hope that with the accreditation of that credential of the CTRI, and other projects that leadership is working on, that'll just grow. That'll be more than just WWP. That'll be more than just the VA, but other, maybe the medical industry, maybe insurance companies, that sort of thing might start recognizing the services being offered, the benefits of the services being offered, and the importance of Path International's standards, credentials, and accreditation.
That was a pretty awesome answer, Karen.
Thanks.
It made me go, wow, we're doing good work.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Well, if nobody else, we haven't had any other visitors come in and join us, but if nobody else has any questions here for Karen, I say we could wrap this up for tonight.
Okay.
And
hopefully my answers at least will help, like when you're making your outreach to people, if they're on the fence, why Path International? And I get it, for the center memberships, it's kind of expensive. I get that coming up with those funds can be hard. But I think as long as people utilize the benefits, I think that's kind of an important thing too. I talked to some people who've never, we don't use grants and we already have insurance that we're content with. I don't care to shop for insurance to see if I can get any discounts. And my community doesn't care about the standards that much anyway. We'll follow them, but it's not important to the people we serve. That's kind of a hard sell. It's like you need to be proud of being part of Path International, and you need to help promote the importance of that. But also, if there's a member benefit, take advantage of it. Check out Grant Station, check out Equestrian Professionals, check out the education that we offer, go to a virtual conference, or check out one of our webinars or something to see, to take advantage of these benefits, because it's only a benefit if you use it.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of a key piece too. But I think overall, centers might be getting more benefit out of their membership than they even think. They might be getting donor money because they're Path International. They might be getting participants through their doors because they're Path International, and not even know it. It might not even come up in the conversation. It's just something that's happening passively, but it's still happening.
I can speak to that. Actually, this week I had a meeting with a family who was relocating from a different city that's fairly close in our region, and specifically came to our center to inquire about services because they wanted Path International Center. So we had the whole conversation, and he says, and I know it's important, but tell me why. So, as a kind of a captive audience, I was able to explain to him about the certifications and, the standards that we adhere to, and that, we are proud to be a member of PATH. So it actually happened this week.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. I know that whenever I part of my job at my center is to meet with all new clients. And I always explain to them about how, we are part of PATH. I talk about why we're part of PATH, and I figure it's just that education, just to let them know that, we're doing everything we can to be as safe and as responsible as we can be.
Well, that's really important.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear, like, just, testimony from just a recent event from one person. And that's happening all over the place. And we do it even at the headquarters office, do get calls from outsiders, from, a family member looking for services from, it's like I searched like horseback riding for disabilities and you guys came up. So can you help me find a program, and can you tell me what to expect, and who are you guys anyway? So and then once I explain it, they're like, oh, well, I definitely want to make sure that I send my sister, my daughter, my wife to a PATH International Center, because it is an inherently dangerous activity, and so we got to do what we can to mitigate some of that risk. And I know it makes a difference.
It does. All right. Well, Karen, thank you so very much for joining us this evening and
You're welcome.
sharing your information.
And thank you, Karen, for always being available when I email.
Sure. Happy to help. It's why I'm here.
All righty. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will be back here next month for another topic. Check it out on the Facebook page, what it's going to be about.
Okay.
And we look forward to seeing you same time next month.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Feel free to contact me with any questions, concerns, challenges, or anything else I can help with.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.